So, Kim, can you tell me what does this new garden bring to the Arboretum and to the community here?
Well, it adds about 60% to our garden area for one thing. So we suddenly got very much larger than we had. And there are a number of features in here that we don't have elsewhere, so we've added a great deal of variety to the experience when one visits. And it's attractive. We tried to make it a beautiful space. But then behind all that is some really hard science about how to attract native insect pollinators. And our goal here is to attract all of the regionally native insect pollinators that we can. Actually, the goal is to get all of them, Harlan, right?
That's the goal.
But it's, out of reach now, just for lack of knowledge. So part of what's going on here is actually research. So one of Harlan's students got an installation right there doing research on what insects are visiting what flowers. So it's pretty, it's enjoyable to visit if it's not too hot. But there's also a lot of science here, which I think it's the really unique thing about the gardens. We did kind of that with the children's garden. There's a lot of children's behavioral stuff behind the choices that we made there. But here it's, more biology.
Okay. In this area and statewide.
Yeah, so it's integral to what we obviously do at the university. I'm part of the Center for Pollinator Research, and obviously a lot of people there are doing research on pollination science. And this gives us a unique opportunity both to see when we put plants in a certain area, if things get established and what kind of pollinators show up. But it also gives us a venue in which we can talk about pollinator science to the general public. K through 12 kids, obviously university students, but just the general public, growers. We have an orchard, we have a whole demonstration garden for agriculture. We're talking about pollination services to Pennsylvania's important pollinated crops. So it gives us a lot of places and venues to both communicate science and to do science.
What would be some of the key features here that folks who are just coming to visit, who may not know a lot about the science, would want to check out?
So some of the key features, there are different kinds of gardens. So this is Pollinator Bird Garden, but there are different sections. So behind me, there's a big, large meadow, which has mostly meadow plants, a sort of Pennsylvania-style meadow, although it's not a facsimile of a natural meadow. It's sort of idealized. And we have there's going to be a forested area in the back here that when the trees grow up, it'll be sort of they'll have a lot of ephemeral spring plants that grow in the forest in Pennsylvania. People often ask, what can I grow? And if I have a very wooded area, you'll be able to see those plants here. And then you sort of have pond areas, and then sort of the backyard garden area here, which will have the best of the native and the best of the non-native plants. So non-native plants that support our pollinators, and the native plants that are well behaved and don't take over your yard.
I'm an avian ecologist, so I work with birds, and it's been on the news a lot of bird populations have declined as of pollinators, and so we're really excited about getting homeowners and landowners to know about how to landscape their own backyard to make it a place for pollinators and birds. And really it's all connected because you start with native plants, supporting the insects, and then the insects are the major food source for the birds. And so just while we've been standing here, you can hear goldfinches finches, American robins, cardinals, tree swallows, barn swallows have all just been coming around here. And so what we did in the garden was try to have the water features, the different habitat features, and then it's connected to the bigger parts of the Arboretum as a whole, which includes Hartley Woods, the prairie, and all that. And so come there, but then they can come here for more visibility. And eventually we'll have nest boxes set up and feeders set up where people can come and actually get a very close view. So over in the corner over there, we've got what we call the bird house, and that's a place where you can look out over the water feature, see birds there, and then also we'll have some bird houses set up there for nesting birds and all of that. So I think it's kind of empowering people to realize they can do things in their own small space, and then also learn about both the plants, the insects, and the birds at the same time.
So this was several years in the making.
Yes.
A lot of volunteer work went into this, right?
For sure. Certainly for the planting of it, because we had so many plants to plant, a lot of volunteers from the community and from the university came out here last fall and then this spring to plant all the plants that you see. The planning of this garden has been over 10 years, actually. From its initial ideas about creating a pollinator garden built from the science, which is what makes this unique, is that it is created from what we think will be the most attractive and beneficial plants for the pollinators, as well as different structures like the wild bee houses and things like that. So it's taken quite a while and a lot of different people to create this garden.